It's the stand-up sit-down with special guest Emilia Barrosse and your host Dan Penna.
Oh, thank you, and welcome to the stand-up sit-down, everybody. I'm your host, Dan Penna. The Oscars were yesterday, or as I like to call it, Super Bowl for wimps. Joaquin Phoenix won Best Actor. In his acceptance speech, he brought awareness to many things like mental health, the danger of human entitlement, and Hollywood's newest marginalized group, artificially inseminated cows. Hashtag Oscars so naturally inseminated. The director of Parasite, Bong Joon-ho, won Best Director. I know, real shocker that he beat the director of all 3 Hangover movies. Who saw that coming? That's like our generation's Godfather trilogy. Joke's on you, Joon-ho. With great power comes great responsibility, and America expects at least a 2 Parasite 2 Furious and Parasite 3 Tokyo Drift. The bar has really been set. Last week, the president was acquitted in his impeachment trial. Nancy Pelosi ripped up Trump's State of the Union speech, and the Iowa Democratic Caucus became a complete and utter meltdown. It was a fun week for Fox News, and the United States of Mountain Dew Code Red. A picture of the president with a harsh makeup line has gone viral, which really isn't fair. That picture was obviously photoshopped, but we at the Stand-Up Sit-Down have obtained the original photo to acquit the president of charges of a bad fake tan. Here it is. It's so stupid. We've got a really great show for you, folks. Writer-comedian Emilia Barrosse from Beep and Tacoma FD is here, so whatever you do not go away.
Everybody, please welcome Emilia Barrosse. Hey.
Hey.
Welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Please take a seat.
Roger.
How have you been? I haven't seen you in at least about a year. Last time I saw you was at the Comedy Store. We were trying to do the potluck.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
wow. Look how far we've come.
Yes.
From trying to do the potluck to now me being on your podcast.
Yeah,
Jeez.
it's leaps and bounds where we were.
Yeah, you haven't seen me. Obviously, my career has been skyrocketing.
Yes.
Here I am.
Actually, you're doing pretty well for yourself.
Yeah, it's actually been pretty cool. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I've been writing for TV, which has been a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
And recently I've been getting a lot into musical theater.
Okay.
Randomly.
Okay.
I got cast in a musical.
Oh, I didn't know you sing.
I know. I always just sang for myself, but kind of I was like, why not just audition for a musical? Like, what's the worst that could happen? They don't take you, like, whatever.
Yeah.
You know? And after, doing stand-up, it's like you're pretty much bulletproof.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I just auditioned and got the part, and so now I'm like,
Congratulations. Are you allowed to say what play it is or anything?
Yeah, it's a new musical at Theater West called Sally Spectre the Musical, and
Nice.
I'm gonna be Sally Spectre.
That's so cool. The lead.
I know. I feel like I'm in way over my head. I hope no one at Theater West hears that. Good thing they're not really plugged into the stand-up scene, though.
So you sing a lot in your car. Is it mainly just like Disney stuff, or?
I still make mix CDs of karaoke Broadway songs.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing, nerdy. I don't know, but yeah, no, I've pretty much always done that, and I was just like, you know what? Why not just take this into the real world, out of the car and into the real world? This musical is just going to be. It's just a staged music. Like, what's it called when it's like not real? Like you're not 100% off book, you're all standing at podiums and you're reading.
So it's almost like a read-through.
Yeah, basically. And so we're all going to be standing at podiums.
A staged reading.
A staged reading.
That's it.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
That's what it is. The musical nomenclature. Yeah, so that's what it is. And it's going to be It's going to be a fundraiser for the musical theater, even though the director has told us he doesn't want us to call it a fundraiser because he says that it promotes a vibe that he doesn't like.
Okay.
So I don't know what that means.
It's a GoFundMe musical theater.
Yeah, I guess.
We were just talking about how you were born in Chicago. You were there for like 13 days.
13 days.
And then you bounced and came to the LA area, which is where you grew up.
Actually, Shokes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was where I first lived for the first 2.5 years of my life.
Oh, wow.
On Ethel.
Okay.
You familiar with Ethel?
I don't think so, no.
all right, so you don't fuck heavy enough in Sherman Oaks, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on Ethel, and then we moved when I was like about 2 or 3 to Woodland Hills,
Okay.
where I grew the rest of my life.
Nice.
Until I went to college back in Chicago, which you obviously know because
Yeah.
you've done your research.
Yes. I feel like all night now you're just going to
I'm
be
gonna
like,
be like, what does he know?
No, I thought you were going to be nitpicky and be like, that's you got that wrong.
No, I'm just
you know?
so impressed that you know anything. Like the 13 days, you couldn't possibly impress me more. Actually, anything more than 13 days, I'm going to start getting scared.
Yeah.
I'm going to look into a restraining
Make
order.
you
I'm gonna
run
be like,
through the
"Dan,
backdrop here into the parking
You've
lot.
truly gone above and beyond. You've gone too far.
So I assume all you have known is just traffic your entire life.
Yes, but why do you think I discovered karaoke in the car?
There you go.
Because that passes the time.
Yeah.
I remember I had an internship one summer in between freshman and sophomore year of college, and it was in downtown Los Angeles, and I was at my parents' house in Woodland Hills.
Okay.
So it was from Woodland Hills to downtown, just like way too far. And it was like an hour and a half commute either way each time.
Yeah.
And it was before I had discovered that, you could just play music and sing along to it in the
Yeah.
car. So I was just like clinically depressed, and I totally understood how like traffic just like it just kills you in your heart because it's
Soul
like
crushing.
you want to move forward but you can't. You keep stopped and you just want to go forward. It's just like a metaphor for the worst parts of life, but then
Yeah.
you're in it and you're going to this job you don't want to go to, and you don't want to even be the.
Yeah.
Don't even get me
You're
started.
making me depressed.
I know. I'm so sorry. But I'm actually excited. Speaking of like another cool thing that I'm doing, like not to sound like I'm saying
You're doing
cool
a lot
things,
of cool shit. Please.
but speaking of that, so the Sunrise Movement. They're like for in case there's others that don't know me, because you clearly know everything.
I do.
The Sunrise Movement, like the leading youth organization trying to get the Green New Deal passed and kind of save our planet. They're starting a podcast in the LA area, and I'm going to be one of the hosts of that podcast.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited about that. And one of the elements that we're going to add to the podcast is kind of like the history of LA and how oil and gas industry has fucked our city over, like over and over again. And like the whole reason there's terrible traffic is because of the oil and gas industry. They fucked our public transportation over every single chance they could so that we would stay in this traffic. And instead of investing in infrastructure to make traffic less terrible, it's kind of just consistent corporate giveaways. And
That makes sense.
And just in case people didn't hate the fossil fuel industry enough, we're going to kind of give them new reasons every week to hate them and rebel against them.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
That's
so
fantastic.
finally getting them back for that terrible summer of traffic.
You went to Northwestern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to be
for-
confused with Northeastern in Boston.
No, Northwestern University in Illinois, and you studied journalism.
Yeah.
What was that like? What made you go into journalism?
Because in high school, I read the newspaper, and and just staying even slightly informed about what was going on in the world was so different than everybody else that I went to high school with. So they were always like, "You care so much about the news," and I've always been passionate, about current events and just kind of like what's going on. And
It's important to know what's going on.
Yeah, right. It is, and it's also really interesting to just
Yeah.
kind of know like what's going on in the world in which you live. And so they were, they would always like talk about, I was just painted as like the smart newspaper girl.
You are smart though.
Yeah, I sure, yes.
And humble.
Yeah, and also humble. And so just after high school, I was just like, yeah, no, I am, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do,
Okay.
And I didn't think of. I never even considered that comedy could be a career path. I always just thought it was like something fun that you could do, but it could never be a job or anything. So I was just like, yeah, I know I love telling stories and I know I care about the news, so I want to be a journalist. I know I do. I was so checked out as a student.
That's awesome.
Honest. Like from the very beginning, like I remember freshman year, I was like, at the beginning of freshman year, I was like gung ho on, this is what I was gonna do.
Cool.
And I was the first freshman to write for the Daily Northwestern in my class, the first freshman to get
cool.
an article in the paper. I was like on the fast track to be the editor of the city desk.
So awesome.
But I hated it. I hated every moment. And I didn't realize that was a problem. Like, there's kind of this understanding in American culture where it's just like, you hate what you do.
Yeah.
And you just suck that up because that's life. You just hate what you do.
Yeah.
And then I finally got to a point where I was like, geez, I hate this. I hate doing this. I hate transcribing interviews. I hate trying to get in touch with people who don't call you back. I hate that you have to write from this centrist angle.
But you were an intern for many of these places, I saw. And
I was an intern at the LA Times.
yeah. And so I kind of feel like that's a lot of the grunt work that kind of goes into it.
Yeah.
And Timeout Chicago as well.
Yeah. Though I loved Timeout Chicago because I got to do reviews at Timeout Chicago.
Oh, nice.
And so I specifically got to insert my point of view and perspective into that. And that was and I loved that. So like
But the transcribing went with it, right?
Yeah. But for me it was like transcribing was easy and mindless, I didn't like it, but it wasn't soul sucking in the way that like writing hard news was soul sucking,
Yeah.
And so like my exit from journalism was kind of like a slow exit because I was like, because it's a lot to decide that like, oh, I went to a journalism college to do journalism and then I realized I don't want to do journalism. It's like a huge life shift, and I didn't want to. I was like afraid to give it up, so I was like trying to find ways that I would like journalism. So at first I went in thinking I wanted to be Woodward and Bernstein and be an investigative reporter.
That's cool.
I know, it sounds cool. I love the movie All the President's Men.
He's like, what, in his 80s and just came out with that new book.
That nobody cared about.
I cared about it.
Dan, you cared about it?
I care about things.
Where is it? Do you have it?
I don't have it because...
No, you don't have it.
I asked for it for my birthday. And
no, you did?
Yeah, I did.
And nobody got it for you?
No one got it for me.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm not loved. I want to do a workshop with you.
Okay.
So I just found out that there's a difference between journalism and TV journalism. And so I was hoping we could pretend to be anchors and
oh
read
my God, I love that.
and read some Onion-esque articles.
Oh my God, actual Onion articles, or did you come up with these?
I
headlines?
came up with these
I'm
years
excited.
ago.
Okay.
I'm gonna start this one off.
Okay.
So that way you can kind of get the gist of
Okay.
it. So here I go. This is my best anchor. Dog TV, a channel created entirely for a canine demographic, has become such a huge success in San Diego that the channel announced the creation of a sister network called Doggy Style, a pornographic channel for dogs. President of Doggy Style, Pincus Grossman, announced the channel will be launched in the fall of 2020, additionally saying, "There's nothing more undesirable than having a dog hump your leg unsolicited. We aim to eliminate all canine sex acts on humans by fulfilling the sexual appetites of our furry friends. Everything will be shot professionally on a Red camera, so you know it's okay. It's also art." Pincus Grossman's production company is in the San Fernando Valley and is now having open casting calls for promiscuous pets. I'm Dan Penna with the news.
Wow, Dan, I think you went into the wrong career.
Yeah, maybe.
You should have done TV journalism.
It's this voice of mine. I just always sound like a damn news anchor everywhere I go. I'll go to like Five Guys down the street and be like, "I'll have 3 patties and a bowl, please."
And they'll be like, "Did I hear you on NPR?"
Yeah. Here we go. And action.
In other Hollywood news, fans of Kristen Stewart pooled money together for her birthday and bought her the gift that keeps giving: acting lessons. Stewart's classes began at Paul W.S. Anderson Academy for Awesome Acting later this month. Stewart recently stated, "My goal out of all this is to stop people from pointing at my movies and thinking to themselves, I can do that." On her website, Stewart released a video thanking her fans for their efforts to better her career while holding a placid stare, spooking most who see it. I'm Emilia Barrosse with the news.
Love it.
Yeah, so I went from journalism, the first thing I thought I wanted to do after journalism was musical theater.
What?
But
So
musical
cool.
theater was tough because it was kind of like, you had to go to these auditions and wait for someone to cast you to kind of do what you wanted to do,
Yeah.
And I kind of instead went into writing because it was like I didn't have to wait for anyone to tell me I was allowed to write, like I
That's
could just
very true.
write whatever I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of led me into finding stand-up, which is the true love of my life, the creative love of my life, because my entire life I'm very opinionated, and
Yeah.
always share my opinion loudly.
I'm surprised that you love stand-up as much as you do.
Really?
Because I know that you've done a lot of improv as well.
I've done some improv. Yeah.
And so that being kind of like how you dipped your toe into the water.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
I would have assumed that would have been, was that just your vehicle into doing
Well,
stand-up?
because Chicago is such a big improv city.
Oh, yes.
You know, like improv is kind of what runs Chicago. And so because I was in Chicago, I was like, yeah, improv. And then when I came out to LA, I started doing stand-up, and then I was like, oh, stand-up is what I love. Because improv, I guess maybe I'm just such a control freak, and I have so many specific ideas that I want to get out, because in improv it's like you could start a scene and then somebody else could come in and completely change whatever the hell that scene was, and then you got to do whatever they chose, and it's like you have to give a lot.
Well, I feel like it can be a lot like that with a writing partner. You have a writing partner. That you met out there, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, she and I used to work together, and I don't have a serious writing partner that I write everything with.
Okay.
I do collaborations with friends all the time,
Nice.
which confuses my managers. They're like, well, what are we supposed to pitch you as? Like, how are you, whatever.
Yeah.
Which I'm just like, I don't know. I just work with friends sometimes, which I feel like is actually a good way to pitch me, because it's like, she works well with people.
Did you move to Spain for a while?
Wow, Dan, you never cease to impress. Your preparedness.
What was that
really
about?
blowing me away. So yeah, it was just that classic case of I don't want to start life yet.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I after college did a Euro trip with my friend.
Very cool.
Which I polished off with 2 months in Madrid as a au pair. Which
I don't think I know what an au pair is.
So an au pair is kind of like a live-in nanny.
Oh, awesome.
Situation. So it's like you have a place to live for free because you're kind of being a nanny.
You're on call, yeah.
And I survived being an au pair for 2 whole days before I quit.
Wow.
Because I'm not good with kids. Couldn't do it. But luckily and completely randomly, we have family friends who live in Madrid who, by the grace of God, had friends who were taking a 2-month trip out of Madrid, and their apartment was just empty for 2 months while I was there.
The
so then I
planets
just lived
aligned, and there you were.
literally.
That's so cool.
So then I was just in Madrid for 2 months with nothing to do, and so I took like side trips to like Edinburgh and Barcelona and Porto and Portugal. Just
So cool.
Ryanair, it's like $17 for a round trip, and so yeah, that was pretty cool. And I fell in love with La Liga, which is the Spanish soccer league. I also, which maybe you know that I am an incredible soccer player?
I did not know
Okay,
that.
see, this
That
is
is
something
really
Dan
cool.
finally doesn't know about
Yes.
it. Yeah. So I played like serious soccer, like Olympic development program.
Okay.
I was in until I was 16 when I tore my ACL, and then I stopped playing soccer. But like I have a strong love for soccer, and so I like kind of rediscovered my love for it while I was in Spain. And that was just really cool.
So, are you good to play soccer now?
I play in a rec league.
Okay.
I am super out of shape.
Okay.
The first game I played, I vomited after the first half
Nice.
and after the second half.
Yeah.
And then the second game I played, I vomited when I got home.
Nice.
And I haven't vomited since.
Nice.
So-
Even boozing it up and being sick and all the other stuff in between, you're like, I'm not as
No.
bad as when I played soccer.
Yeah, I think because when my first game back, it was like I had the muscle memory of an incredible athlete, you
Oh,
know?
nice.
Like when I started playing again, it was like I got out there on the field and I was like, oh my god, like I remember how to do this. I got to get open into the space. I
Yeah.
got to like explode down the line.
Just like
all
riding
that
a
stuff.
bike.
Yeah, and then but before I realized it, I had expended more energy than my current out of shape body had. So I had to just like run to the sideline and projectile vomit.
Yeah.
And then I regained my composure and went back in for the second half, and it happened again.
What position did you play?
I was playing just forward.
Okay.
You know, not
Yeah.
even. I was making a lot.
Forward's
of
good.
runs.
That's the glorious.
Oh,
you
that's
kicking
the glory.
it. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the glory. That's the glory.
I was hoping we could move on to a little bit of your writing credits.
Oh, sure.
You wrote for Veep.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. You were staff writer on that.
Yes.
And what was that like?
Man, it was the scariest, best experience of my life.
That's awesome.
It was, yeah, it was.
Just like jumping into like a cold pool scary, or like swimming over a dark chasm that you can't see the bottom of scary.
Yeah, I mean, I had a panic attack every day before I went into work. You know, I mean, it was just, you know, you're sitting in a room, and I was the youngest writer in there by a decade minimum. Okay. You know, and it was my first credit, you know, and everybody else in there is like a complete veteran genius, comedic genius.
But that's great to have like those people be there as almost like an example, a mentor, or like that's amazing.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
how invaluable!
It was the scariest, best experience of my life because, yeah. So it was like a 6-month room. The first 3 months were absolutely terrifying, but eventually, you force yourself into a terrifying experience so many times in a row that you're just like, no, yeah, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
You know, like this is happening. Either I'm gonna say something or I'm not, and I got to a point where I was like, I won't be able to live with myself if I don't give this everything I have, you know, because when you're in the room, you're just afraid to speak, you know, because
I'm sure
everybody is so damn talented and brilliant, and you're just like, who am I? You know, like what life experience do I even have? Like, you know.
How did you get there? Did you submit like a packet? Was it a spec script?
So I was a writer's PA on the show for 2 seasons. And the first season, I kind of was just like quiet, didn't bother anyone, just kind of stayed at my desk, did my job. And I was like, if I just, you know, kind of keep my head down, don't make waves, they'll see that I'm, you know, doing a good job, and then I'll get promoted to writer's assistant. Yeah, and so after the first season, where I kind of like just followed the rules, I didn't get anywhere, and I was not only not promoted, but specifically passed over for promotion. Oh. So I came back the second year as a writer's PA again, and I was like, oh, damn, okay, that didn't work. I need to start being my own greatest advocate, you know? So I started, you know, talking to people, joking with people, and I learned that there was an email that went out to all the writers every day before they filmed, with all the scenes that they were going to film the next day, and all the writers would punch up those scenes with just extra jokes. And then right before they filmed, they'd print them out, and then the showrunner would read through all the jokes. No one's name was on anything. It was just a final draft paper. Yeah. And he would choose which jokes he wanted to add in and just have people say in the moment. And I browbeat the script coordinator into including me on those emails. Nice. Because no one's name was on anything, so they wouldn't know if it was me adding things or whoever. And
very sneaky.
Yeah, and after the first time that I submitted, they filmed 3 of my jokes that day.
Oh.
And every day after, when I would submit, they would film at least one of my jokes.
Can you say specifically which episode it was where you got your first jokes in?
I only started pitching at episode 8, and so I got jokes in episode 8, 9, and 10.
So cool.
Yeah, it was, it's
cool.
Literally like a fairy tale story. But so at first it was stressful because no one knew they were my jokes, you know, because no one's name is on anything.
And how do you get the credit?
Exactly. And all the writers are so cool because they're all so good, so they're not trying to prove anything, that no writers go, oh, that's mine. You know, like they're just like, they just know that it was one of they don't have to prove anything because they're all so good. But I was like, these are my jokes. And so I would just tell the writers that I was closest to, like, I'm getting jokes on, like, these are my jokes. And like some of the writers were like, tell me every joke that you get on and I'll tell the showrunner. And eventually it got so many on that they were just like, yeah, we'll staff you for the last season as the lowest rung, but yeah, you get a staff writer credit. Yeah.
Credit's a credit.
Oh my God, a credit's a damn credit. Yeah. And at least I wasn't getting lunch anymore, which was amazing.
Yeah. And it led you to your current job.
Yes,
right? Which is on True TV, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, which is on True TV. I'm actually wearing a hat for it right now.
Yeah. Tacoma FD.
Yeah, which has been so much fun. It's with the Super Troopers guys, and they're just the best guys. They're just so down to earth.
Yeah. Broken Lizard, right?
Broken Lizard guys, yeah. Just they're so funny and they're so good, and they've been friends for so long, and you just feel that in the room when you're writing, just this really close bond that they have.
So awesome.
They're just such great people, and I think that speaks a lot about them that like they've been able to maintain these friendships for decades in an industry as insidious as Hollywood, you know?
So when they're so close knit, how did you end up getting on Tacoma FD? Was it through your manager submitting you? Was it Yeah,
my manager submitted me, and they liked my script and they called me in.
fantastic.
Yeah, it was
So cool.
pretty cool.
Do you have any other hobbies other than soccer? Do you like to paint? Do you like to kill small animals and cause fires?
I like to paint.
Okay.
I painted a picture that I'm actually proud of my cat.
Oh, awesome.
I have a cat. Cats are a hobby.
I didn't get that far. Its name is Snowball.
It's Viola, actually. I like cats. I do like painting. I love geocaching. You know about geocaching?
I love geocaching.
So good.
I haven't done it in years, but I did it when I moved out here to try and get to know the city a little bit more.
And isn't geocaching great because it'll take you to like little known places that you would have never known. It's not going to be on any tourist website, and it'll take you to. I recently went to Alaska over Labor Day weekend, and I went geocaching, and it took me to these amazing viewpoints that I would never have known to go to if not for geocaching.
You're like, I guess I have to dig into this polar bear carcass for this little canister containing a Spider-Man figurine.
Oh my God.
And then replace it with my buffalo nickel.
So you leave.
I try and
things.
swap them, and then I sign the little booklet.
Of course, you got to sign the booklet.
Yeah.
You got to sign the booklet,
Yeah.
but I don't typically leave stuff. But that's really good of
You just to take it.
I don't take anything. I leave things. I just sign my name and then I leave it.
Okay.
But I do kind of wish that I wish I had a little token that like was mine.
Yeah.
That I can leave, so people are like, Small Fry 9291 was here.
Before we go, I was just wondering if you could tell our viewers how they might be able to follow you on social media.
Yeah. So follow me on Instagram at Emilia.Barrosse. And also follow my stand-up show, the Just Trying to Make Friends show, at JTMF Show. I like to call the Just Trying to Make Friends show a backyard party with a comedy show pregame. The entire point of which is to get as many people to make friends as humanly possible.
That's cool.
And we follow through on that. Seriously, literally people make friends every time.
Do you have anyone that's been to the show that has become a couple? I almost said an item. I almost gave away my age.
No, because the whole point is to make friends.
Yeah.
The amount of times that I will get a text from someone going, ran into someone that I met at the Just Trying to Make Friends show, and they'll send me a picture, or people going I just went out with a person that I met at JTMF. It's so much fun. Literally, friendships are forged.
That's cool.
It's really great, and it's a lot of fun, and it's such a cuddly vibe. You guys gotta come.
Is it like a bring your own booze or bring your own food?
We provide, but bring whatever you want. We won't stop you. We won't stop anyone from pretty much doing anything as long as it's friendly.
Yeah.
If it's unfriendly, we're gonna have to ask you to leave. Well, we're gonna first have a conversation with you if you can knock it off. But then if you go, then we're gonna ask you to leave.
Okay, we noticed you've murdered 2 people.
Yeah, we couldn't help but notice that you killed a few people.
Just tone
Okay?
it down.
Can you stop doing that? You can't? Okay, we're gonna have to ask you to go.
Amelia, it's been so much fun having you on.
This
Thank you
has been a
so
blast.
much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Annie.
Yeah. And,
Thank you, Grindle. That's the dog. There's been a cute dog in this room the whole time.
We have him tucked away in a corner right now.
Yeah,
but
he's been such a good boy. He's been the best boy.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.